Hello, friends, and welcome to the second episode of a brand new, mostly new Marvel Snap podcast, Snap Judgments. As always, I am Roy Rogers, and joining me once again, as always, is my friend and yours, Aaron Glazer. Glazer, how are you doing on this absolutely wonderful, wonderfully muggy East Coast afternoon, evening?
I am both deeply sad because it was the last day of classes for me, so it was a tear-filled day, but also really happy because since it's so muggy, we put in our AC.
Well, that's a quality of life improvement if I ever heard one, both in the sense of not having to do the full time job of a teacher for a little while and having air conditioning. And I know how hot your apartment can get. So that is a huge quality of life improvement. All right. So, Aaron, my friend, we are joined, as always, by two very special guests. Who is joining us this week?
Our very first guest, we have our friend who is kicking Bootman out of the top spot. He's sitting on the throne alone as our most featured and most beloved, sorry, Boot, guest host. We've got Savage Yeti. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I better stay here at the top. That's my goal. So I guess for those of you who don't know me, my name is Savage Yeti. Savage Yeti YT on Twitter, Savage Yeti Gaming on YouTube. I do my best to cover every bundle that comes to Marvel Snap and tell you whether it's pointless to buy or it's useful. Gold bundles, cash bundles, everything. Give you the most bang for your buck in terms of progression. I also do deck tech videos. I steal decks from Glazer and I claim them for my own.
Like any good
I at
content
least
creator.
I credit for my decks. It's our Roy and I's constant fight whenever someone posts a video that they didn't credit a deck. I get so frustrated because I spend hours trying to figure out who made these damn things, and then I'm not gonna say a name. I'm gonna be nice. Post a deck and there's no name on it. I'm like, I know who made that. What the hell? And it's spoiler. It's always safety, but whatever.
I do my best to credit you guys, but
You always do.
sometimes, yeah.
All right. Well, Aaron, I am unbelievably glad to have Yeti back. He is, I think, at this point, our most beloved regular guest host. But we have a first time guest as well this afternoon, evening. And who is that?
We've got Marvel Snap personality, Twitter user extraordinaire, brand new Twitch streamer, and wildly recommended guest host, DougPie. How you doing, Doug?
Hey, I'm doing good. Just had some dinner, playing Snap, and yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm doing good.
So, one, you're going to tell us where you can find us, but two, listeners, you're in trouble. You got two people that were raised in the Bronx on this podcast. It's going to get rowdy.
Oh yeah, it might get a little crazy. And yeah, you guys can. I guess you guys can find me on Twitter. I guess I use it a bit much. Everyone's telling me I'm the Twitter guy, but yeah, my Twitter is DougPie TTV because DougPie was taken by someone else who doesn't use it. So
Brutal.
yeah, and my Twitch is just DougPie.
Awesome.
Wait, so his Twitter is Twitch, and his Twitch
Yeah,
is just his name. I just want to make that clear.
It messes with my OCD too. It's like, why? And the person that has the original DougPie name hasn't tweeted in 6 years. So, yeah, it's just a thing.
Well, wait, hold on one second before we move on. Yeti, did you tell our loyal listeners where they should find you?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yep, but I'll do it again. Savage Yeti YT on Twitter and Savage Yeti Gaming Marvel Snap on YouTube.
Don't forget to check the show notes. We're going to have all the links for both of these guests. By the time you're done with this podcast, you're going to want to follow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we have a very packed episode because there is probably the largest patch and most important and impactful patch in Marvel Snap history since global launch. And I do not mean to exaggerate when I say that. But before we can really dig in with our guest host, we need to remind you, our loyal listeners, where you can engage with us. Number two in importance, you can find Aaron Glazer being every Marvel Snap creator's favorite reply guy, on our Twitter account, which is at SnapJudgeCast. We are on TikTok sometimes at SnapJudgeCast as well. And most importantly, the big reason we renumbered, why we are brand new or all new, I believe is the official branding, Snap Judgments, is that we are now the official podcasting partner of Marvel Snap Zone. And Aaron is writing and making videos for Marvel Snap Zone. Big moment for us. And we are so excited to be part of the Marvel Snap Zone community with folks like Den and Safety, who we've had on the show, and many other awesome creators. And you can find us blowing up their Discord. The link will be in the show notes, or you can just go to Marvel Snap Zone and find a link to their Discord and engage with us there. If you'd like to engage with us by email, and we will try to find your emails through all of the kick spam that Glazer has subjected us to. So our email is snapjudgmentspod@gmail.com. And we are on every favorite Extinct Animals social media, Mastodon at Snap Judgments with an E at tabletop.vip. And most importantly, why it is number 2 to our Twitter account is our YouTube, which is at Snap Judgments Pod, where you get every weekday a snap take from Aaron Glazer. Aaron, what could our loyal listeners find on the YouTube if they went this week?
All right, we had a great video blow up. We have a completely insane Thanos deck. That was Monday's video. Today is some Silk decks. The Silk decks are really strong. I've been playing them all day. They've been really successful in Conquest, but we'll get to that. And tomorrow, I've been talking to Safety. I woke his ass up. He's in Australia, so sorry time zones. But I woke his ass up to talk Galactus, and I've got Galactus lists.
Awesome. Speaking of Galactus, let's jump right in to the patch notes. Most importantly, the OTA challenges before we do the patch notes. I apologize. They use the same graphics. All right, so we're going to do the OTA card balance updates. Okay, these happened between the recording of our last episode and this moment. It was what we thought would be massively impactful, but actually has been outdone by the patch, but it's important to talk about it. We had Rogue and Medusa get buffs, while Spider-Man got a nerf, and Beast got a nerf sideways move, and then Hood also got a nerf, but kind of, sort of, like, I don't know. Both the Beast and the Hood changes are a bit more complicated than the sort of straightforward Spider-Man and nerf, or the Medusa.
Spider-Man got a power too.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. All right. But also can't be played by Zabu anymore. So, anyway, Doug, since you are our newest guest, what do you think of these OTA changes?
All right. Yeah, when I first saw it, I was like, I felt pretty good about it because I was like, well, Hood doesn't really matter. I mean, it does, but I guess not really, because people just get rid of it anyway with another card. But I felt like the Spider-Man nerf was kind of, I wouldn't say extreme, but I guess it's needed. But like, I play Spider-Man all the time, so I felt it the most. Like when I can't get the extra unspent energy for Cyclops or Hulk on turn 5 anymore. And I guess the Rogue buff is good. I still probably wouldn't play her though, and I guess Medusa's good too, but I guess Ghost Spider kind of just took her shine because I'm only playing Ghost Spider over Medusa right now for my 2-drop.
Yeti.
These changes were interesting. The Rogue change, I don't think I've seen anybody play Rogue even after the change. I don't think it was enough. Medusa, I'm seeing everywhere now. I don't know if people are just trying it out, or if it's actually good, but 5 power for 2 costs. Turns out it's pretty good. Spider-Man pissed me off because I was in my like phase of control lockdown decks, and this just ruined the decks I was using. So I guess it was needed, but he's still very annoying in Galactus lists. Beast, I'm one of those people who's going to argue that this is a buff. because in bounce decks, I think you're floating mana a lot, and I don't think playing him for 3 matters a lot of the time. So it's just kind of an extra +2 power. And then for Hood, I guess, I don't know, I guess the change is needed. I feel like in any Hood deck you're playing, you have a way to destroy it or Viper it over or bounce it with Beast or Falcon or whatever it is. So pretty insignificant, I guess. I guess if you get it off a random location or something, you're less likely to play it at -3, but the decks that use it, I don't think they care at all.
I don't care about Rogue and Hood. I'm not going to waste time. They're not relevant. It's not enough to actually affect either card. Medusa's great now. We're going to talk a lot about 2-drops later this episode. I have played a lot of Medusa, and in both Serraless and Bounceless, she is a lot of power on the last turn of the game, or toward the end of the game. If you can bounce her, making her what amounts to a 3/8 is phenomenal value, especially because you're using her to trigger other things like Bishop and Hitmonkey. That's the card whose name I was looking for. As you do so, I'm a really big Medusa fan now. If you haven't been trying her, I really, really urge you to. Spider-Man's nerf is fine, I guess. I don't know. I think that like Galactus was the problem, not the lockdown decks. Lockdown decks were good, but they were beatable, and they were helping to keep Galactus in check. And now all this does is like make Spider-Man better for Galactus and worse for them. I We'll get to Galactus, but like I really hate this change as far as that goes. And Beast is way worse. Sorry. Whether you're so when you're floating mana, that's nice, right? But like you don't float mana every game, every turn. And you really, really often wanted to Beast in concert with other things. And like a Beast on turn 3 when you could play Kitty and Beast on some stuff you already have down was really good. Now you have to wait till turn 4 for that, and now that's messing with your tempo. After often on turn 3 you would play like Bishop, right? On 3, and then on turn 4 you would try and be like, all right, I can play Beast and 2 1-drops and like pull up my whole hand, right? Like refill my hand. And now you're getting like just a Kitty. That extra card that doesn't cost 0 is, I mean, you're getting 2 power on Beast, right? But you're losing 2 on Hitmonkey. You're losing 1 or 2 on your Bishop. You're losing an extra 1 or 2 on your Angela, so on and so forth. So it's like a subtle change that really kind of like screws with bounce decks. And I'm still having success with bounce decks. It's just Beast went from like the strategy in the deck to a nice bonus if you can get it.
Also, I don't play a lot of bounce decks, so I'm going to take your word for Beast, but the audacity of Second Dinner to nerf Spider-Man during the Spider-Verse month hurts my stomach.
Well, now he's Peter J. Parker, or B. Parker.
Other thoughts about the changes?
Yours, Roy?
I think overall they are good changes. I find that actually the argument that lockdown in the long term would be an issue, and sort of like forcing them to cluster on 5-drops, I think is actually a good long term decision for the game. I think Spider-Man is a really cool and well-designed card. And I also think that Professor X is a cool and really well-designed card, but having both of them in the same deck can sometimes be like really obnoxious. And so I think particularly if one of their goals is in the long term to get rid of, or at least suppress the power level of these kind of like decks that narrow the game to a small set of interactions like Galactus and Lockdown, then I think this is a good change in the sort of like long-term seeding, and to sort of get it out of the way, I think is a really good thing, both because they can design cards around it and sort of get ahead of a problem, which is some of the changes that I've liked that they've made in these, is sort of like getting ahead of problems. And other than these, I find them all pretty unobjectionable. I think that Beast is also the right kind of change. Yes, the card is worse, as Aaron said, but it's not unplayable, right? It did take some of the oxygen, out of the bounce decks, but it didn't kill the bounce decks, right? And I think that that's like what you want to aim for. And I think it's showing that Second Dinner is getting better. I think, at these OTA changes. So I think overall these OTA changes were pretty like good, like fine. Like if this is going to be their design goals of like constant minor changes, this is about where you want your constant minor changes. Even if some of them, like the hood one, is a nickel and dime and rogue is kind of a nickel and dime change, it's still a positive change overall for the game. So
I didn't realize, I thought the OTA changes, they could only tweak like cost and power. The Medusa change, it does, I guess, tweak power, but it tweaks her honor reveal. So I
they
didn't
can
know
only
that they
change
could do that.
numbers. So anything
So-
that has a number they can change. So Doom could make 4 Doom bots if he was somehow like not
So even more specifically, they said they actually, like Glenn said this outright, before he got there, they coded some of the stuff wrong. So if they coded the number as a variable, he can change it. And if it's not a variable, it's just stuck. And some things are one and some things are the other.
That's
Oh, that's
fair.
interesting.
It's a very broad thing to Hearthstone had a lot of those issues for a long time.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into really the exciting thing of this week, which is the patch. All right, so now in the token shop there is the open mystery series 3 card for 1,000 tokens. So if you are loyal listeners are a series 3 incomplete player and you are just thirsty to burn through your or sort of your collection, and you've got a bunch of tokens to spare, if you have money and not time, you can now light tokens on fire to fulfill your sort of series 3 needs, or if you're just a gambling addict. These are all great things to be doing with your tokens if those are things that you have, but it is an option to get series 3. I think to me, I like this change because simply like if you're really close to finishing series 3 and you just kind of want to get over the hump, you can just like buy the last 5 cards really, for 5,000 tokens or whatever. And I think that's a quality of life change, even if like popping one of these in the middle of series 3 is literally gambling. Do either of you 3 gentle folks have any comments about the token shop change?
I guess it's pretty good for like new players or like players you said that's trying to complete their collection. I kind of think 1,000 tokens is a bit hefty on the price. I feel like it could probably be a little cheaper, but I'm already series 3 complete, so it don't really matter for me. But I just think it's a little expensive token wise, at least.
I think it would have been interesting if they made it like 800 tokens or something, or 750, and so you get some value, but it's random. And yeah, I haven't worried about Series 3 cards for a very long time, so I actually didn't even know this was in the patch until right now.
There we go.
So the initial reason they said they were making tokens is when you're in Series 3, it's really hard to build a deck because there are, I believe someone said earlier today, 94 cards now in Series 3. So what are the odds the ones you get go together and fit in one deck? You can unlock one a month, and then you can spend your tokens like a gambling act, like Roy said, and get yourself into trouble pulling like, oh, look, I got, I don't know, name it, Baron Mordo this time. Oof, that's a great use of my 1,000 tokens. Oh, previous guest of the show, Vin, absolutely hated this. Like, it is a major contributor to him leaving the game because literally, like, as you get to pull 3, what are you supposed to do outside of spend buckets of money? Like, and if the game isn't fun for all of pull 3, and like it's easy to forget now just how long pull 3 is, and it's only longer now, then why would you keep playing? That's the point where like they want to incentivize you to spend money. And all this does is make the game less fun and make you less likely to spend money. Because there's no like reason at all to spend money in pull 1 and 2, right? Like series, whatever. Like you're getting cards so fast. Once you get to series 3, you start getting cards like relatively slowly. You get like 2 or 3 a week. And if those 2 or 3 weeks suck or they're just not a deck you're interested in, I think this is a really bad choice.
Do you get a Series 3 card every 4 caches or 3 caches? Anybody know?
4, I think.
So essentially what this is saying is spend 1,000 tokens to expedite 2,000 credits, which is wild. Just save your credits.
So no. It's 1 in every 4 caches, but it's like that makes it 1 in every 16, I believe.
One
like
every.
It's once in every group of 4 caches that you get.
Well, so on average, it'll be 48 levels with 50 credits. It's 2,400 credits that you have to spend on average to unlock a Series 3 card.
Okay,
so
that sounds right.
You're expediting 2,400 credits for 1,000 tokens, which is insane for a random card.
Terrible
if you can focus your 1,000 tokens on a specific card, that's much better, obviously. But for a random card, just save your tokens.
But what do you do when all you open is shit? Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I agree with Yeti. Yeah, it's like you can't even pick the card, so it's kind of just 1,000 for just more RNG. It's might as well just save your tokens.
But you're new and you get to pull 3. What do you do? Like, what are you supposed to do besides not have fun for a while?
Save credits, buy credits. I don't know.
But you're also like, I mean, there's a fundamental tension that like we've talked about in the show a bunch that doesn't get talked a lot about here, which is that their collection mechanism is at war with the way in which card games are traditionally approached, right? Which is when you reach the access point of like being out of the learner experience, which is basically out of pool 2, right? Which I do think is actually a good onboarding. Like I think the pool 1 and 2 experience I found to be really fun. I thought it did a good job of onboarding and hooking you into the game. You leave that sort of extended tutorial. In most card games, you take out the most powerful card in gaming, your credit card, and purchase like the cards you want, either in the form of packs, like in Hearthstone, which you can then turn into dust, or similar with wild cards and Magic Arena, or in physical card games, you literally go on TCG Player or Card Kingdom or whatever and buy the cards. Right. But this like kind of like emergent system that they're trying to create, which is like much closer to those of you who like played Magic in the 1990s as a broke 8th grader, which is like you get 7 packs and you make a deck with 7 packs, which is what they're trying to recreate with this, is at war with the approach of this sort of information saturated, like a Marvel Snap approach that we're all familiar with and that other card games are familiar with. And like the question I have is like how much the average person who encounters pool 3 encounters that. Like how much is this like a legitimate mobile game where the median player is barely plugged into the things that we're doing here and thus can have fun because they don't realize what they're missing out on, and they have a sort of lower power metagame, or they don't. Like we don't know this, and we also we don't know how much. The only person or people, who have a clear sense of that is Second Dinner, and they are not being, and their actions, I think, are not really clearly signaling like what the reality of that is, because it's clearly not ideal, but it's also not so horrible, and their retention rate is not so bad that they are fundamentally reworking the system into something that mirrors Hearthstone or Runeterra or Arena system. So either they're extremely stubborn or their internal metrics tell them that they just need to tweak this system to maximize the amount of money that they're getting.
I'm going to find us a casual player to interview soon. I think that's a decent way to start solving this. As far as content creators goes. I know they know, but like we're a community and we'd like to know.
I think once you are a player who's willing to go on a podcast, you are not the kind of casual player that is useful for us trying to figure this out, if that makes sense. Like, and that's not me shading this casual player that you're gonna find. I'm sure they have really different perspectives than we do, and that's valuable, and their voice is important. But like, you literally want to find like a 17-year-old in your school who plays Marvel Snap for like 2 hours when they should be doing their homework, and like what they think of the game. Like that is the kind of person who is like, the Genshin Impact, like degenerates, kind of like those kind of people who are like these mobile gamer, not necessarily plugged into what we are discussing right now.
One of my teacher friends has never played card games before, never played mobile games. He's in the middle of pool 3. He plays for exactly like 25 minutes every morning right before first period when his lesson plans are done. It sounds like he's kind of exactly what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All
right. Weekend missions. Let's move on. We beat that one. Weekend missions. Weekend missions offer more goals for players. Basically, what happens is if you win games with the season pass cards, you earn gold. If you win games with a newly released card, you earn tokens. And depending on the difficulty of the mission, you get more or less of each. They didn't tell us how much each of these things are. Oh, sorry. And if you win any games at all, you get credits, right? So, like, this seems like it's inherently good. Hopefully, they're not so cheap as to make it useless. Doug?
Oh yeah, yeah. I guess it's pretty cool because before we didn't get anything for playing a new card, so I guess it's nice to be rewarded. I suppose. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. It'll be nice to know how much we get, but like you said, hopefully it's not like a pointless thing.
I think getting tokens for buying a new card is just essentially cutting down the price of buying new cards. So you get like a little bit of a discount if you try the card out, which I guess is good. Anything that makes cards easier to get is good for me.
How much less would it have to be, though?
Like, how many tokens would you have to get for the
Like, if
missions?
it's 50, no one's going to give a shit, right?
I mean, even if it's 50, I'm doing the mission. I spent money on this thing. I want the tokens for free. Obviously, it's not as if I bought Snow Guard and I have to go through, a few miserable hours for 50 tokens. Probably not doing that.
If
So, okay, well, let's not talk about that. But yeah, I mean, hopefully it's significant, but obviously it can't be so significant that it like makes the card cost 5,000 tokens instead. So my guess is like 250 tokens or something like that.
I think that's a little high. I think it's gonna be like 150. It's gonna be low.
So if it's not 500, I mean, look, I'm going to do it if I buy the card because there's no reason not to. But if it's not at least 500, it doesn't incentivize me buying the card enough. Like, I'm not buying a card I otherwise would. If it's like 1,000, I'll just start whaling. Like, I'll just start buying everything, right? But if it's like less than that, it's not doing anything to make me give a crap.
Yeah, I don't think it's meant to like incentivize people to buy the new card. Well, I mean, maybe a little bit, but more so now Series 5 cards, instead of costing 6,000, cost 5,500 on average. So your tokens stretch a little bit further.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a small quality of life increase. It also, those people who like max out their like weekly quests like during the week will still have a reason to play in the weekends. Like, that's another thing. So I think it's just straight upside. Like, even if it's literally 7 tokens, right? Like, is it in any way like it's just better, right? That you get those 7 tokens that you did before, and they're not taking anything away, right? This is just pure upside, right? Like, it's not like there was a different system that they retooled that reduced it. This is just literally adding on additional missions to do. So
yeah, it also gives a reason to, like you said, to play during the weekend, because a lot of time that hot location comes out and I stop playing for 24 hours and I do other things. And I'm already done with my weekly mission, so I have zero reason to play. So yeah, I guess this works and lets me bang my head against the wall while the hot location's going.
Yeah.
But you don't have to bang your head against the wall. We've got Conquest.
I will say one more thing. I think this tells us that their player base is not playing as much on the weekends as they want them to. So, but anyway, that's my second dinnerology of this change. All right, the next thing with the patch is the series drops. All right, everybody's favorite dinosaur and Yeti's favorite card all fell from Series 5 down into slowly Series 4. And then Shauna fell from Series 4 to the Series of the People, Series 3. What did not fall? No Jeff from 5 to 4. No Hitmonkey from 5 to 4. No Zabu, no Darkhawk, no Null from 4 to 3, which sort of continues their sort of arguably stingy drops of their sort of, what are they calling it? Variable series drops, I believe is the technical term from Second Dinner about this. So some movement down, definitely some mediocre cards fell down there. What do we think about these change? Shauna the She Devil is now very obtainable. What do you all think about her and Gabi in Series 3 and the dinosaur and Yeti's favorite card? Actually, you know what, Yeti, since you love Snowguard so much, you give us the first take on these series drops.
Snowguard should stay in Series 5. It should be up there with Galactus. It's a great card. Everyone should buy it. Stegron I don't have, so I guess glad I get access to it. Snowguard, I don't like to talk about that card. I'm angry that Jeff, Hitmonkey, and all the cards aren't dropping on a schedule, because after seeing that Darkhawk bundle that's coming out, it just feels like there's a reason why they're not dropping these cards, so people will pay real money for some of these bundles. There's actually a Stegron bundle coming out in a month. August, yeah, and that's a bit overpriced too. So it seems like they're trying to keep these cards in Series 4 so they can charge real money for them after they've been out a certain length of time that people just want to get them now. So feels very predatory. I guess I'm excited to use Shauna. I don't even know if I have Shauna. I might already have it.
I already had her, so
yeah. And I think all the season pass cards should drop on a schedule. I don't think it's fair to people to be like, all right, you give us $10 or you're going to wait 6 months or whatever amount of time to play these cards. I think they should drop on a schedule, and this makes me more mad than it probably should.
Doug?
Oh no, yeah, I agree with Yeti. But I also feel like, I guess Stegron and Snowguard, I guess it's good that it dropped. I don't really think players are gonna play those cards anyway. It's kind of weird that Jeff hasn't dropped yet. He's been in the game for, was it 3 months now? Or
3.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he's not Series 4 already. I guess
Oh,
because
yes,
they know.
you are.
yeah, I guess they know because they want their money. But yeah, it's just weird that Jeff, and especially Hitmonkey, is not Series 4 already. But and Shauna, I believe I pulled her when she was a Series 5 card, and I was so hyped. I was like searching decks on YouTube and Twitter. I was like, yeah, I'm about to freaking go ham. Like, some people called her like a mini version of Doom. I was like, oh, let's do it. And I yeah, not a good card in my opinion. But yeah, these drops don't really, it doesn't really do anything for me, I guess. They need to drop Jeff already for players to get, in my opinion.
Stegron is going to be better than people think. Everyone I know who has Stegron is like, hey, Stegron's good. So, like, this is smart enough people. It's like Explodium and Safety and I want to say Fazer. Maybe not Fazer. I'm pretty sure somebody else. But they have, like, Stegron, and they're like, hey, Stegron's good. Stop sleeping on Stegron. And, like, so, okay, cool. I wasn't going to spend tokens on Stegron, but, like, now there's 2 cards in Series 4 that I don't have, Snowguard and Stegron, so hopefully I get the right one in my next 1,000 caches. Snowguard is stupid. They're not making it Series 3 right away just so that, like, Yeti doesn't feel bad. They watched his YouTube and just felt guilty.
I mean, what's in Series 4 besides Stegron and Snowguard right now?
Null, Darkhawk, Zabu. And something else.
Is Snowguard the only hard miss right now? And right? Like, the only, like, oh my god, this card is in no decks?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe so.
That's one of the reasons why she's also in Series 4.
What about Ghost? Is Ghost 4
Ghost
or 5?
3 now, right?
No, Ghost is 3. Yeah, Ghost got this, like, super fast drop.
Great.
So, yeah, okay, fine. Whatever. Screw that card. Shauna is a card I own. I wasted Series 4 open on, and it is one of the, like, 7 or 8 cards that I own that I've never put into a deck. I've played it because District X exists, but, like, Shauna's poopy. Like, the miss cases of 1-drops are exceedingly high, right? Like, Ebony Maw and a random hood, like, on the last turn and that kind of thing is just too bad for Shauna to be good. I don't super care anymore about the Jeff, Darkhawk, and Null thing. I don't like it, but I don't hate it. The Darkhawk thing is that they're being super sleazy with this bundle, excuse me. And when people buy that, and everyone's convinced people are going to buy that, right? When people buy that, they're going to do this over and over again. And it's going to be really, really upsetting.
Yeah.
What I care about is the season pass cards. That's messed up. We had like it's like they had an I'm missing the word. A blank deal. Help me here. Implied deal with the player base that if you don't buy the season pass card, you will get access to it in this way in this amount of time. And like we knew that, we all agreed. All right, cool. The $10 is worth it, or it's not worth it to you, right? In 3 months, you'll have a better shot at getting Surfer, and then 2 or 3 months after that, it'll be in Series 3, and you'll just get it for free. And like that was a really good way of doing business, I felt like, right? Like it was like, hey, you're gonna have to wait a really long time, but you can have it. Now it's like, we're just gonna leave you waiting forever. And I think that's royally screwed up. I think that like I'm not actually sure what the cursing policy is on Marvel Snap Zone, hence the me not saying cursing like crazy here. But like I'm actually really, really annoyed about it. I think it is super whatever. I think it's super shitty to the player base. And it's one of the very few things they've done in a really long time that I'm not just like, you're being dumb with all these unforced errors that you need to like foresee in advance, because like we could tell you that this is going to be a problem, versus this is I feel them being sleazy, and I'm much more angry at that.
All right. Well, let's jump into what people really, really, really care about. What I thought we were talking about at the top of the show, the big card balance changes for this patch. All right, let's get the easy one out of the way first. Maria Hill has gotten a, I don't know, is Maria Hill strictly better now? She now has access to adding either a random 1 or 2 cost card to your hand. Doug, what do you think of this Maria Hill?
I don't know if it got I don't know if it got better or worse. I guess it's better because now you have more options, but then it could also be worse because now you have like a least chance of getting a 1 cost or 2 cost that you wanted. I guess players are just gonna play it for, I guess, Dino decks or whatever. But yeah, I it's just the same with me, honestly. I kind of forgot she was in the game. Honestly, I haven't seen that card in a while. In a match, I should say.
Yeah, I haven't even seen it since the changes. Seems the same to me. Still useless. I guess. I don't know. I guess the 2 cost is better. Maybe you get a cool 2 cost, but it's still random, and it's still. I'd rather play. Why am I blanking on the card? It's not
Sentinel.
There we go. I was going to say Sentry. I'd just rather play Sentinel and have a consistent. I know what I'm getting. It's not a coin flip.
Glazer?
Don't care. Bad card.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is to me an upgrade because there's the 2 drops in general are much better than the 1 drops, and they've been putting a lot of work in diversifying the quality of the 2 drops. So I just think you got more access to some better cards, and since there's more better cards overall, I think you probably have a better chance of hitting something decent here. So fine, but still, I don't think it makes the card playable. But Yeti, dazzle me with how these Dazzler changes make her a more playable card.
I think the thing that stood out to me was that she can be played in Surfer decks. I just don't know how much Surfer decks are flooding lanes. With Brood, I guess you're flooding one of them. And maybe if you stack on the last turn with Sarah and then your 3 drops on that same lane, maybe you can get enough power to make her worth it. But it's still, if you stack 2 lanes, it's still only, what is it, 6 power? Yeah. And I feel like you're just playing other more utility 3 drops at that point. So another one I kind of just don't care. It's interesting. It's a nice change that maybe can get plugged in to certain decks a little bit easier, but it still just doesn't seem very good.
Doug?
No, yeah, I agree with Yeti. At first, I thought it was a good upgrade. I was like, oh, sweet. Now there's a chance for her to get buffed up. But I really thought about it. I was like, in what decks do you really fill up boards like that? I guess, well, she's a 3 cost now, so I guess Silver Surfer. But I feel like they could play a better card. And I said, maybe they played in Ultron decks, but then I don't really think players are gonna just run Dazzler in there for no reason, just for that little buff. Yeah, I guess she's better, but maybe not enough. I should say.
Like, why not play Wolfsbane? Like that one tiny point of upside, right? Like that's
Yeah.
so much harder to use.
Oh yeah, that's a way better. Yeah.
So I'm all out on this card, except Den really likes this, or Den is memeing on me. One of the two is happening, but Den is really good at card games, so I'm willing to like at least consider that I might be wrong. But my initial reaction is this card can go to hell.
All right. Well, speaking of going to hell, everyone's favorite card, Galactus, was something happened to it. Whether it is a buff, a nerf, or somewhere in between, I'm going to throw it to a fellow man of taste and Galactus enjoyer, Savage Yeti, my friend. I can't forcibly mute Glazer because his opinion here is not one that our loyal listeners should really think is very valuable, at least at first. Yeti, let us, like, where do you think this big Galactus change, which I'm just going to say it, it's the first one we're going to say, he's still a 6 cost, but he's now 7 power, but added, if you are winning this location and Galactus is your only card in that location, destroy all other locations. All right, Yeti.
So, for those of you who are confused, the 7 power does get added first. I read it weird the first time. I like the change. It's basically the same card. It lets people counter a little bit without, the Polaris or Magneto to Magneto the Wave and things like that. It lets people counter in other ways. But more importantly, it puts like a little volume knob on Galactus's power. And if they want to make him weaker, they just turn his power down a little bit. And if they want to make him stronger, they can turn it up. With the old way the Galactus was set up, there's really no changes you can make. If you make him weaker, he gives up priority easier. If you make him stronger, he just has more power. So now that it's tied to his power, it lets them tweak him, fine-tune him even more. So I guess I'm excited. It's still the same. People are still going to complain about Galactus. It's still a wave turn 3. It's the same thing. So wave turn 3, Galactus on 4, and everything's blown up, and people complain on Twitter.
I think it's a significant like play pattern nerf. I don't necessarily think the card's raw power necessarily has changed. Like if it does its Galactus thing, it still does its Galactus thing. But like now you have the option of just like, all right, I got a 50-50 shot. They waved me on turn 4 or whatever. I'm just gonna play my biggest fucking thing here, and then it's not gonna blow up.
Well,
like that's and that is legitimately like counterplay in a way. And it doesn't require you to change anything about your deck other than have a Hulk or have something big. And most decks these days are running something that could beat 7 power if mana is no like constraint.
I think Galactus decks are going to have to build towards the priority first Galactus.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can hold priority, granted Lizard is nerfed, but if somehow Galactus can keep priority by turn 4, then I guess it doesn't matter what the other player has.
That's the thought.
Yeah.
The question is, can it do that though in a world of nebulas and consistently? I'm not saying it can't ever do its thing, but can it consistently do it in the area in which Glazer spent so much time complaining last week, which is in tournaments? Like, can you consistently like hold priority against decks that have the ability to, if you don't have priority, just play a big boy or girl to beat you?
We're just going to have to, I guess, wait and see. There are a lot of stronger 2-drops in the game, so I guess it works both ways. I don't know. I'm still going to play Galactus. It's still fun.
I noticed a few Galactus decks now run like, I mean, I guess they always run Goblin, but now it's like every time I see Galactus decks, they're just spamming me with Hobgoblin just to try and get Galactus out. and it didn't work. But I'm sure someone's gonna cook up some kind of new top tier Galactus deck that works every time. But I do think the nerf is kind of crazy. I just know if it's good or bad. If you mention this card in any Discord, Twitter, Reddit, a huge fight breaks out. That's all I know.
The card is going to be great. It's going to... So, it's possible that safety's conversation, we already broke it. There's no guarantee of that until we test it. He's unwilling to play Galactus because Silk is cool. And I'm unwilling to play Galactus because I don't want to buy Galactus. So, I'm going to post those decks. By the time this comes out, you will have them. It might be those decks. It might be something else. This isn't going to fix him. He's still going to be broken. We're just going to have to figure out how. Like, turn 1 Ghost, turn 2 Viper, turn 3 Wave. Enjoy. Right? Like, there's 1,000 different ways to do this.
That's actually
Yeah.
That's actually kind of funny. I want to do that.
Yeah. Like the Iron Fist Shuri combos that everyone came up with immediately are completely insane. Where it's just like I can now turn 6 Galactus without any problem in the world. Right? Like, unless you can get past that negative 11 power and my 7 power there, good luck. Right? Like, sorry, 14 power there. Good luck. Although I suppose at that point you're much more likely to have access to a Shang. Right? Like, there's just so many different ways to do this that I will be utterly shocked if one of them doesn't leave us in the same place we are, even if it takes just a little bit to actually discover it. You know who this is a nerf to? Doc Ock. I think the Doc Ock play pattern is probably dead. Because, like, you're too late to lose priority at that point. It's, like, too easy for them to see what you're doing. I don't think Doc Ock works. Maybe I'm wrong, and you can tell me I'm wrong. But I don't think, like, the Spider-Man play pattern has really changed. And I think it just changes what else you do.
I don't know. I think that Doc Ocking and emptying their hand gives them a lot less options. Maybe forces them to top deck something with more than 7 power. You are giving it priority, but you're limiting their ability to play in that last lane. So I think it'll still work. Also, what is your other play line that you can't just rely on the wave line in whatever deck?
I think Hobgoblin is significantly better. That's a 15 power play.
Oh, so just go Hobgoblin and then turn 6 Galactus?
Yep.
Yeah, I guess.
Like,
I
there's
don't know.
probably a few others, right? Like, no, Hobgoblin, no, because you've got Electro. So Electro, you turn 4 Hobgoblin, turn 5 Galactus.
Oh, right.
Like, what do you do to stop that? That seems like it's a nightmare.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I don't think Doc Ock is.
But you also can't
completely dead.
Spider-Man with that line.
No, that's the wave line. The wave line has always been the Spider-Man line.
Yeah,
that doesn't
I'm-
go anywhere. That still exists just fine.
Yeah, but it just like the dot without Doc Ock, there's more counterplay in turn 6. Unless you have null. Like you're just asking the Galactus player to have more things. Is what this conversation
Yeah,
is for
yeah.
me.
Yeah, that's fair.
So like you
there
need
are more answers.
Like it's less that there's not more necessarily answers. It's just easier for it to fall apart, right?
Yeah.
And like that's and like Second Dinner in their definition of this, right, said that they designed Galactus too well in the sense that it is thematic and compelling. Like, can you really think of another design that feels as Galactus-y as blowing up almost all of like what your opponent does? Like the card is super thematic and it's compelling to a lot of people who enjoy doing things differently in card games, but also it's understandably a very NPE experience for a vocal subset of players. And they decided they didn't want to change the heart of the card. Where else could they go? And I think this is about as good as a solution while maintaining the heart of the card as they possibly could. And I think Yeti is right. Like, in 2 weeks, they could just turn this Galactus into a 6/4. And that becomes a lot worse. Like a 6/3? Like
6/3, 6/4 is where it should be. I'm pretty sure that like the 7 is actually the problem right now. So like I'll worry about the 6/4 when it's a 6/4. I'm not playing in a game where that's a thing. I'm playing in a
Mhm.
game where it's a 6/7. Like
I understand, Aaron.
if they further nerf it, you know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to analyze like what might happen in 3 months or 6 months or might not. What we have right now is a 6/7, and all the smart people I know are like, "Oh, well, shit. That didn't change it enough at all." And like maybe everyone's wrong. Everyone's been wrong before. That won't be the first time. But like when everyone took one look at this and went, "Ooh, let's build broken shit around that." That is not a good thing.
Yes, but it is also a more fixable problem now. Yes, that we don't live in this world where Galactus is a 6/4, but we can get closer to the world in which Galactus is a 6/4. And Second Dinner
Mm.
gave themselves the tools to do that. And what more, short of coming up with a perfect solution, but Second Dinner admitted that they don't have a perfect solution. Like this has put them on the road to getting closer to as balanced an experience as a card like Galactus in this version can be.
Yeah, they can now nerf Galactus to the ground if they want in an OTA patch, and I think that's like big. They can make the tweaks that they need to make him less or more prevalent very easily.
I respect that. I just don't care yet. Like it's just we don't live there. Like I get it. I understand that in the future this is probably going to get better, but like when I go play ladder next season, unless this happens crazy fast, right? I'm still going to be doing the same thing. When I call tournaments, I'm still going to be like, God damn it, look at this crap. Like, I get it. And I get that, like, better is better than worse. I truly have
Wow.
sympathy for that
amazing
argument.
English. We have an English teacher here, folks. We have an English teacher here. They admitted it.
It is
there.
tautologically true. However,
It's also tautologically true. If what you're saying is true, Glazer, then your life hasn't changed at all. Galactus was a good meta-defining deck before, and it's a good meta-defining deck now. So literally nothing changed. Life is the same. We should move on because we talked about the things that did change, which is Dazzler and Maria Hill. Like that is where your argument is, Aaron. Here,
no,
like that life didn't change.
So
like
it does change in that 4 months, I guess, for at least 4 or 5 weeks. People have been preparing for a Galactus nerf and like messing around with it. They announced a Galactus nerf and they released a Galactus. Like when you guys were like Beast is sideways, like that's exactly how I feel about Galactus right now.
Which is fair.
A different deck, but I don't think it's worse. I think it's actually in many ways more consistent.
I have a thing to say to you, Aaron. Those people who are preparing for a bigger Galactus nerf, that world doesn't exist. And we could talk about that world with a bigger Galactus nerf in the future. But we're going to move on from this topic to another part of the patch. Because again, we don't live in that world where that Galactus nerf that these people imagine. But we do live in the world where High Evolutionary is probably one of the most powerful cards in the game. And Second Dinner has basically said that they are going to be using basically the next month to figure out what to do with High Evolutionary. So let's take a moment for ourselves, take some deep breaths, and imagine a world where High Evolutionary has been changed. I know we don't live in that world yet, but let's imagine ourselves. Let's use the creative
I'm going to run you over with my card, just so we're clear on what's going to happen here. Everyone's going to be like, why is there a new host on Snap Judgments? Why is Glazer... There's just new people on this podcast. Glazer ran over who?
I don't live in that world where I'm dead, so let's move. Yeah, there we go.
All right, well, welcome,
upgrade. Strict upgrade.
No doubt.
No doubt indeed. All right, so High Evolutionary. What direction do we think High Evolutionary is going to be heading? Where do we think it is in the meta right now? Definitely am I sticking my toe into Conquest. I was playing a High Evolutionary deck. I ran into a majority of the 7 or so games that I played. A majority of them were High Evolutionary mirrors. So, like, where do we see this archetype moving? What options do we think Second Dinner has? What do we think the solution is to the quote-unquote High Evolutionary problem? Doug, why don't you
Did they say they were, like, reworking him completely, or was it just some, like...
Their exact words are on the screen, my friend.
Oh, interesting.
Their exact words are... So we'll be using OTAs and our next patch to address changes that may be related to this card's impact on the metagame. That's in reference to High Evolutionary.
I have to think about this one. Doug, go ahead.
All right, Doug, go ahead.
I guess they mean they're gonna try and change like, I guess the stat lines on all the cards he affects. I guess. I play high Evo, so I don't want them to change anything. But if they were going to, I guess they're probably gonna try and tweak Hulk and Cyclops in some sort of way. But they already kind of High Evo kind of already got like, well, the lockdown version kind of already got a nerf because of the Spider-Man. But I still win most games because of Hulk on the last turn, even though the little tweak on the the unspent energy on turn 5 or whatever was Spider-Man. I mean, that was good, but I feel like Hulk is still he kind of still wins the games anyway. But I don't know. I kind of feel like it's too soon to change it, but I guess if they're gonna do something, they're probably gonna change Hulk first because he does get kind of big. If he gets kind of crazy.
My experience doesn't match the meta here to a point where I'm not sure my experience is personally relevant. So I don't really play High Evolutionary, as in, like, I think the card is boring outside of the Lockjaw build, and the Lockjaw build was just a Lockjaw build I enjoyed before High Evolutionary was out. I was playing that last season, thanks, Teebs. So I've been not playing High Evolutionary and playing against constant High Evolutionary, and like I've never had a higher win rate. I'm winning like 72% of my games this season. It's completely stupid. I've never been nearly that good. I'm not like one of those like super, like, I'm good, right? Like I hit infinite every season, usually relatively quickly, but like I'm not super world class. Like I'm not Lambie or something over here, right? And I shouldn't have that win rate. I don't get why people struggle so much with High Evolutionary. And like I've been trying to intellectualize it, but the numbers don't lie, right? Like, so clearly the stats are saying that High Evolutionary is powerful. And like the only real avenue they have to hit it, if they want to hit Lockdown, they hit Cyclops. And if they just want to hit the deck, they hit Hulk. And like my assumption would be they just lower Hulk, like they increase Hulk to like a 13 or a 14 and then give him +1.
I think just making Hulk +1 as a 12 power is fine. And then maybe Cyclops, he has 2 cards now, I think. So maybe just hit 1. Yeah, I think they have a lot of ways to tweak all of these cards. Like the Thing hits on reveal 3 times. They can lower that by 1. They just have a lot of options, a lot of numbers to change, I guess, in an OTA to tweak him kind of where they want. But I think Hulk is the main problem. They may have to like rework Hulk completely.
They're going to change Wasp.
Yeah, Wasp is pretty big too. I've been playing that like Shuri Kitty Pride deck with magic, so a lot of the times I'm getting an 18 power Hulk and then taskmastering it on turn 6 or 7, and it's just insane.
I can't actually remember if that's my deck. That's either my deck or Nerferder's deck, but it's somebody's.
It's my deck now.
Okay.
Well spoken, Yeti. So I think we have to ask ourselves, like, what do we want to be the best thing in the metagame? And I think as far as it goes,
Kitty
I think
Pride bounce. Oh, sorry, that was rhetorical.
There we go. That's what Glazer thinks. Maybe that's the best thing to like that the whole meta rotates around. But generally speaking, something is going to be the best thing that the meta rotates around. I personally think, as far as it goes, High Evolutionary is not the worst because there's multiple ways to build High Evolutionary. It does compelling things, but as Glazer's 70% win rate in decks they're designed to beat it, it is beatable. There's a lot of different like options to sort of play around it and sort of some of the stuff it does. And like two people can be playing High Evolutionary decks and have some pretty radical differences from each other. Like the mirror isn't necessarily like a card for card mirror in the way in which like a Shuri mirror was, right? So I think as far as like what the best thing to be doing in Marvel Snap is, High Evolutionary I think is a good top end. Like it might still be a little too powerful, but I think if it stayed this way, I would still find the game pretty compelling to play. And again, I played a bunch of High Evolutionary mirrors shortly before we did this episode, and I wasn't unhappy with the gameplay. And I found them fun compared to like Shuri mirrors, which I didn't enjoy, and sort of other sort of top tier decks like Zabu mirrors, like back when it was busted. Like I think that High Evolutionary is a fun, compelling card to be the best card.
Good idea.
Yeah, I don't groan and roll my eyes when I see high evolutionary. I did when I saw Thanos and Zabu decks and someone plays a leech like that. That made me mad. High evolutionary just seems like okay. I guess they're playing this type of a deck, and it's not like a big problem. I get if a card is, overly prevalent in the meta, you have to do something about it, but it's not as like toxic as some of the other decks that have been the top of the meta. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I agree.
So I tried to say that this was going to happen a couple months ago, where like Second Inner seems to doesn't use nerfs to balance the game necessarily. They use it to shake up the meta when they feel like something is too much of the meta. Because the way cards release outside of High Evolutionary, any new card they release, and I guess season pass cards, any new card they release doesn't really shake up the meta. It's good, right? Like it's powerful. Like Iron Lad is a really good example. This is a super powerful card, but like it was limited in how much it could shake up the meta because so few people had it because um only X amount of players were really playing with and experimenting with it, right? So what do you do if like 60% of decks are High Evolution decks? You nerf it. And like, yes, people aren't mad, but we've all been playing long enough to know that if you give it 3 weeks. Yeti, could you tell us the new Token Tuesdays are apparently 1,400 golds for 1,000 tokens all of July? Is that a good deal? Worse deal? Better deal?
All right, so it is a worse deal. As far as bang for your buck is concerned, it's a worse deal. But you will get more tokens in total if you buy all of them. In terms of like tokens per gold spent, which is how I like to break down all of my bundles, specifically the gold bundles, it goes from roughly 0.9 tokens per gold spent to 0.71,
Ooh.
which is significantly worse. However, if you have the gold to cover it, you'll get, I don't remember how much more. I think like 1,000 or 1,100 more tokens per month, roughly. So I'm not sure how I feel about it yet, but I kind of see what they're doing with their bundles, and I guess I'll explain that in the next section.
So like, if you buy all of these, that's an extra pull 3 every month. Pull 4, excuse me, every month.
I think so.
4 weeks, 1,000 gold. That's like 4,000 tokens, right?
You'll get 4,000 tokens from, yeah, but I wonder what the difference is between the old cost and how many tokens. I think on average you get like 2,500 tokens before per month, and now you'll be getting 4,000 ish. So a series 3 card and a half more if you spend the gold. There's quite a bit more gold. So it's not better bang for your buck. Yeah, but I do like having access to more tokens. It's still, the 0.71 is still better than a lot of the bundles that they have and are releasing. So I'm not complaining. I'm still going to buy them all. It's just not as good as before.
I watch your videos. It's better than basically everything but the cash bundles and like
Yep.
the like $100 worth of gold ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Speaking of bundles, Yeti, you want to tell us about all of the upcoming bundles that our friends at Marvel Snap Zone have data mined, among other things. Of course, many other people. We don't want to give inappropriate credit, but definitely you should go and read the awesome article on Marvel Snap Zone about the bundles, see the really cool art, and all of the good stuff going on with the bundles. So let us know, Yeti, what are they valuable? Are they not?
So I want to preface this with all of these are data mined, and a lot of the times things get tweaked and they're not exactly what they were when we see them today. As far as June bundles, the best bundle for gold is going to be your Sandman bundle. I would recommend buying, if you're going to spend money in the game, buying the Bring the Pain bundle. That's $30 for 4,000 gold and some variants and stuff. And then using that to buy the Sandman bundle for 3,000 gold. If you want to be more patient, I would buy that 4,000 gold and wait until next month. There is a bundle called Cosmic Wildfire, and for 7,500 gold, you get 6,000 tokens, 2,000 credits, and the tokens per gold spent on that is 0.87,
Ooh.
which is a lot better than even the Token Tuesdays, and anything we've seen since like February. So save your gold for that one. August, there's
What's-
really nothing that
Wait,
stands
what's
out.
in that one?
It's a 7,500 gold. That's how much it costs, and you get 6,000 tokens, 2,000 credits, and then I think it's a Black Panther variant avatar and a title.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
It's
I think it's by
the
far
Black
the best
Panther,
bundle.
the Phoenix Eyes Black Panther from Avengers.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I have a video on all these bundles if you guys want to see me skim through all of them. But what I wanted to say, I think is my reasoning for the Token Tuesdays dropping, is the bundles we got back in December, January, and February were very good in terms of tokens per gold spent. They were probably overvalued. And you got a lot more than Second Dinner wanted you to get. So around March and April, Second Dinner released Token Tuesdays, which were miles better than all the other bundles, and their regular cosmetic, some progression bundles went to shit and weren't worth much at all. And I think what they found was everyone's insta buying all of the Token Tuesdays. No one's spending gold on any of these other bundles. And the response to that is to drop the bang for your buck on the Token Tuesdays significantly, and it looks like the average value from all of the other bundles is going to go up slightly. So I think they're in the middle of like finding that sweet spot still. So if you want to get regular updates, I do a video on all the major bundles, and at the beginning of every month, I skim through what order you should save and buy these bundles, both gold and cash value. So if you're interested in that and not wasting money, go sub to my channel.
What's your channel again, Yeti?
Savage Yeti Gaming - Marvel Snap on YouTube and Savage Yeti YT on Twitter. I'm getting really good at that.
Awesome, you are, my friend. You are. Anybody else have anything they want to add about bundles? Ones they're excited about, ones that that Yeti's made a good case for.
I'm pretty excited for that Black Panther one. It's a bit expensive though, but 6,000 tokens is a lot, so I guess I'll be saving up. And is it August, right? Or did he say July?
July.
Oh,
Oh,
that's the Phoenix
okay.
season.
Yeah, that
Mhm.
makes sense. Yeah,
I think it's like July 12th or something.
yeah. July's like stacked with good bundles. Jeez. Okay, well, I guess I'll be wailing. I don't know.
There's also a Ring of Fire bundle, which is not bad in terms of value. Also, I think that's a Shang-Chi variant one.
Oh,
It's so
yeah,
ugly,
yeah,
though.
yeah.
That
You
movie's
don't
so
like it?
ugly. No, I love Shang-Chi too.
Mm. Yeah, I haven't gotten a good Shang-Chi variant, so maybe I'll have to check that one out. All right, so let's move into the thing that everyone is experiencing right now, excited about. We've been talking about, I think we were like the first podcast to talk about Conquest. Like, we've been extremely excited about Conquest. And so are you. Like, Second Dinner was even paying Magic the Gathering streamers today to play Conquest mode. That's how much they think this is a big add to the game. Well, all of us here have tried Conquest mode, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Starting with you, Doug. What do y'all think?
I love it. I love this mode. I don't know. It feels kind of weird though that the infinity thing is the last week. I'm not sure if that's a way to kind of make players more hype for it, or to make sure they play that last week, or to make them, I guess, feel the urge to spend more gold in case they don't feel like farming for tickets anymore. But besides that, I think it's awesome. It's way more competitive. Battle mode is like a different beast. If you like, it's just different from rank. And I wasn't a fan of the whole cube system anyway, and the whole ranking up. So Conquest is probably the only thing I'll be playing going forward. It's just I love it. I only wish we had like a side deck or something, but that's just, we probably won't get that in this game.
I am mildly excited. I don't know. It's a new game mode. It's fun. I'm still going to be focusing on hitting Infinite first and then filling it up with Conquest. My problem is my main time of playing Marvel Snap is in the car or a little bit at work if I have some downtime, or on the toilet. Like, a lot of my gaming happens in quick bursts. and this is a bit of a time commitment. Also, I know myself. I will get so unbelievably frustrated trying to rack up tickets and then have to win 5 in a row. I that is not going to be good for my mental health. So I don't know if I'm going to make it my main focus. I do have some ideas though of things. I used to make poker videos. I don't know if you guys have seen those before. Not poker
Mhm.
videos, poker
I did.
in terms of Marvel Snap videos. And some more concepts kind of apply to Conquest than they do in regular ladder. So I might try to explore it for purposes of making those videos. But outside of that, this looks like just a really good way to get frustrated. I wish it was more along the lines of like Hearthstone Arena, where it's like you got to get 12 wins and you get 3 losses before you're done. I wish this was kind of the same of, win 15 games, you get 2 losses even, but something to have a little bit of breathing room.
Especially, so I like kitty decks right now. I'm having a lot of fun. So I like right before we recorded, literally, like I made you wait because I was finishing a Conquest game. I beat a wave deck with a kitty deck, but like that shouldn't happen, right? Like that's just not fun. It was in silver, so like it's not like there's super high stakes, but it's also not like there's no stakes, and it's just like the hard counter is lame when you don't get one loss. When you get a couple, like, right, like, oh man, bad luck. When you get one, it's just like, oh, come the fuck on. My other problems with the mode, and mind you, I am exceedingly positive on the mode, so I'm gonna get there. Please don't think I'm just shitting on it. Problem number one is same thing as Yeti. Content creation. I make a lot of content at this point. Takes so much goddamn time. Like I've never watched much Twitch, but now I'm like using Twitch as a way to like keep up with different players and different decks as I'm like trying to make content and develop things. And like I cannot do that in Conquest mode to the extent where both Fazer and Safety messaged me to ask me about Conquest mode. I went to reply to them. I missed my opponent snapping, lost 8 cubes because I didn't realize they had snapped because I stopped to reply to people. That's just the kind of thing I do on ladder, right? Like I'm constantly doing 6 things at once, and Conquest mode does not work for that. The other thing is I've cast a lot of tournaments, so I know how the good players play at this, right? So I know when I snap, I know when they're supposed to run, I know like what's supposed to happen when you're really good at this game. People aren't doing that, like at all. Like at all. And like there's gonna be like a grand scheme of things where I get to punish them, but for now it's like playing poker against that person who sort of doesn't know what they're doing and keeps blowing up all the right plays, and it's really annoying. Where I'm just like, all right, I Zabu'd on 2, I've got the whole thing. I'm gonna drop Zebu and snap, and they're supposed to run for 1 cube and then move on with our lives, right? Like that's how this game works. And just like, no, I'm gonna stay in, and like I'm winning most of those games, but it's still like I don't know, it's less fun to play with wild people than it is to play with good people for me, at least in this exact way. So like those are my main frustrations. However, it's a new mode and I'm sitting at infinite after a few days in this season, and playing on ladder is literally like useless to me. So this gives me something else to do, and I'm all for something else to do. Battle mode is phenomenal, and I think with time a lot of my problems are going to go away as I retrain myself to pay more attention, and that like depending on my level people are going to play differently. That's going to be a learning curve for me because expectations are at SOB.
I mean, most Marvel Snap players have never played competitive battle mode, so they have to get used to how to do it, right? Even people who want to take it seriously. So they have to learn the skills. So even if you're someone like Aaron, who has a lot of theoretical experience from casting these tournaments, or you are someone who's, taking the time to be on Discord and do these tournaments, like, you're going to have a huge leg up and you're going to probably get infinity before, most people if you put the effort in. But I think I enjoyed even playing Proving Grounds. Like Proving Grounds felt better than a ladder game. Like it felt like it had more stakes, and the stakes felt like more positive, I guess, for me than like watching a number go down. It's like, all right, you lost this set, so I don't get my token, but I move on with my life. My numbers didn't go down. Like it was just sort of like, okay, I didn't get this token. Let me queue up again. Like, and that I found to be like way more enjoyable of a way to engage with Marvel Snap. Like my current plan is to sort of get like 20, 30 silver tickets and then, play 20 or 30 silver games and then, if I end up decent silver, farm silver for a little bit before moving on to gold, right? Just sort of like give myself some sort of time and some room for error, since it is, one loss and you're out. I agree with the folks who said that like maybe you could shift this into something closer to a Magic the Gathering league on Magic Online, where you play 5 games and you get rewarded based on the number of games you win. So if you go 5-0, you get awesome, like all the prizes. You go 4-1, you get some of the prizes. 3-2, you kind of break even. 2-1, you lose value. 1, blah, blah, blah. That's something, but that would probably require a buy-in. I think that theoretically, this system being free, like if you sit at Proving Grounds and win 500 matches, like you can go straight through with putting 0 money in. Like, I think this is about as good a system as you can if you're going to like make it truly free to play. So overall, I've been happy so far. I mean, we'll see what happens as I move up into silver and gold and affinity, but I think theoretically I've enjoyed it, and the actual practical experience, I played about 7 games between when the patch finally showed up on my phone and when we did this. So yeah. Other general thoughts? Did folks like the trophy store? What did the trophy store make sense to you? Did you like that there's a temporary variant hidden behind buying 9 things in the trophy store? A kind of bad variant, if I'm being completely honest.
I like it.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
I don't like Carnage variants, so
Wait, it's Green Goblin, no?
it's Green Goblin Carnageized, right?
Oh, I didn't realize it was Carnage. I just thought it was like a cool goblin. Okay.
Any thoughts about the store though?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I guess the rewards are okay. I didn't even like really look at them. Like, I guess the way I play games, I just do one mode like a whole session and then I look later. But I guess rewards are cool for players that want to try and collect stuff. But for me, I'll just get it if I have enough medals. But I'm not really playing for any of the rewards. I do want the infinite border, so I'm gonna freaking tilt my brains out to get that later on. But all the other stuff I don't really care about. The variant's cool, but that's it.
Yeah, I think the rewards are cool. At least if this is your main game mode, you have somewhere to spend your hard work. I do kind of hate that you can just buy into Infinity for 500 gold. It just feels, I don't know. It feels like mobile game pricing, I guess. It just feels like, all right, look, you're going to work all month to rack up these tickets. And this last week, you're going to use them all. Now, instead of trying again, you're just going to pay us money and you can try one more time. And it just doesn't, I don't know, doesn't sit right with me. But I do like the game mode overall. I think the rewards are really cool. I think with the last bullet point there, that wave is going to be included in a lot of decks that probably on ladder wouldn't play wave, but it's just a hard counter to a lot of different deck archetypes that I think are going to be in Conquest.
So the rewards are just for the timing that is Carnageized, by the way. The rewards are 150 credits, 200 gold, a new title that is awesome, 75 Green Goblin boosters, a silver ticket, and and a mystery variant. I got a really cool Titania. The Titania where she's wearing a bandana. I was really happy. Week 3, apparently week 1 and 2 are combined. Whatever. Week 3 is 350 more credits, an infinity ticket, and a new avatar, which is the same Green Goblin. And then your infinity are fucking boosters, and then just all boosters. That's ridiculous. But yeah, yeah. So like, some
I think
of the
what that
rewards
means
are
is you can
great.
buy those infinite times, Glazer.
Oh, okay. Well,
So like if
okay.
you go infinite with
Yeah,
you can just buy all these
you can have so many boosters. Yeah, that's gross. All right, I'm gonna guess if you play forever, like, right, if this is your main mode. Okay. The extra little credits are nice, right? Like, I'm never sad about extra credits or extra gold. I like getting a free mystery variant every week because, like, I'm not spending money on mystery variants anymore. I like the shop. I don't really give a shit, to be perfectly honest. Like, they're cosmetics, so they're nice, but like, they're not going to change how much I play. I just feel like this is a good way to try and get better at the game, and I like that. I like the way it makes me think.
All right. So, what cards do we expect to be better or worse in Conquest? Aaron and I already talked about this last week in our episode with Educated Collins, which you should definitely go and watch on this very YouTube channel, Marvel Snap Zones, or of course in your local podcatcher. So we'll throw it to you, Doug. Tell us what cards do you expect to be way better and worse in Conquest. Then we'll throw it to Yeti to sort of get your thoughts about this.
Yeah. So off the bat, I feel like, I mean, I guess Daredevil was always pretty good, but I feel like in Conquest mode, he's gonna be way better. Cards like Kang, obviously Wave, and this might be a hot take. I know people don't like this card for some reason. I don't own it. I'm trying to save up tokens, but I feel like Howard will be pretty good in Conquest mode. I
Oh,
guess.
Somewhere Bootman just like his ears perked up and he was like, what's happening? What's happening?
No, I just think it's like in this kind of setting, especially in the, I guess in the higher up tiers, like the infinite climb where you're trying to get the 5 wins. I feel like knowing your next draw can like save you a 1 bar of HP or losing 4. You know what I mean? So I just feel like Howard will be a better card in this setting. Maybe not in rank, because rank is just like, it's like a party bag. You go against anything, so it doesn't really matter. But in this, you're locked in with your opponent, so you kind of have like it's kind of every card is kind of more important, I feel, or every turn at least.
I think Wave and Kang are the ones that pop into my head first. I didn't really put a whole lot of thought into this. I will say I think decks that have hard counters, like Wave, say like a bounce deck or something, I think those are a mistake to play in Conquest, because you have to win a certain amount of games in a row, running into that one hard counter that if they draw this card you lose is just going to ruin your run. So you have to play more solid decks that may not have as much upside, but don't have those hard counters that kind of give you an auto loss. Outside of that, I don't really know what specific cards will be better or worse.
I have a new answer, I think. I think discard's going to be really good. I think those like consistent, just regular frequency win a lot of games decks are going to be real nice to play. I'm trying to think of other examples of those. Darkhawk Good Stuff is going to be really consistent. Like a lot of these decks that just like stay steady and put a lot of power on the board, like they lose on occasional low rolls. I think they're going to be like the way that we end up playing this mode. Oh, also, I think the easiest way to get Infinite right now might be Shuri Red Skull with Ghost Spider.
Maybe, yeah, that deck is pretty strong.
Mm-hmm.
What is dead may never die. All right. Let's move into our second main topic today, now that we've gone through the patch, which is the rise of 2-drops. 2-drops are more powerful than ever. Arguably the most powerful card slot right now. Where do we see 2-drops right now in the game in general? Let's sort of start from the theoretical principle, and then we can move into some sort of these specific examples of 2-drops that Glazer has prepared for us. So, Doug, where do you think, what is the state of 2-drops to you?
I think it's in a good spot. We have so many great 2-drops you can pit in any deck right now. I think Jeff is probably the best one. Invisible Woman's really good. You can like use her if you're afraid of your opponent having Enchantress or something. Ghost Spider is good as well. Maybe not in most decks, but she's pretty good in that Shuri deck that Glazer was talking about earlier. I'm not so sure about Collector. Medusa's good too, but I guess players are still running Polaris, so I don't know. And Silk, I'm still trying to get the verdict on her. I bought her yesterday, but I'm not so sure. I don't regret it, but I'm not so sure about Silk. It's just too much RNG for her. But I do think we have some great 2-drops, especially Hitmonkey, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we're seeing them a lot more too because of bounce decks and just kind of Sarah decks in general. So maybe they seem stronger because you get to play them for one, but overall, I've been pretty happy. I think Jeff is probably my favorite 2-drop. And Silk I did buy, and I just got frustrated with her moving wherever the hell she wanted to. So she's probably good. I'm sure I was not playing her in the right deck. I would imagine she's probably best in some sort of Sarah deck where you drop her on turn 6 without priority. But yeah, overall, I like the 2-drops. I like the Medusa buff too.
Glazer.
I think Second Dinner realized that 1 to 2 is the biggest cost increase percentage wise in the game. And that in order to get people to play 2s, since they kept nerfing Sarah, that they had to actually give 2s power. Because otherwise, why would you not just play 2 1s? Right? So for a long while, for a giant chunk of the game's release at this point, the only 2-drop you really saw was Lizard, right? It was Angela, and then they nerfed Angela to the point, and I guess Angela could be here too, because they other cards regave her power. Kitty. But a lot of it was you only saw Lizard ones, and then you just went straight to 3 and 4. And you can't have a game that exists and is healthy and has that early game, right, that matters if you don't make the early game cards matter. So, like, these 8 changes all happened within the last 3 months. The 8 changes being, I'm just going to list them for listeners. Hitmonkey releasing, Jeff releasing, the must play of Star-Lord, and then Star-Lord was also buffed right around then. Medusa, Collector buff, Medusa and Collector buff, Invisible Woman buff, Ghost Spider, and Silk releasing. That's a lot of changes to 2. It's clearly the most affected spot in the game. And I think that they've fundamentally taken like 1 from the thing that you really, really want to be doing, especially like around Thanos, to 2 being the thing that, like, if you're not trying to go super tall, where you want your deck to be.
All right, well, let's discuss some of these specific 2-drops and what they've done for the metagame. So, Hitmonkey. So, how has Hitmonkey sort of shaped up how we think about 2-drops, and how do we think it has impacted the meta?
Doug?
Oh, I feel like Hitmonkey made bounce decks like crazy good now, because I feel like every time I play against bounce or some kind of Sarah deck, I'm just fearing for my life on turn 6. And before Hitmonkey, I don't think I was afraid of that matchup at all. I guess bounce wasn't really a thing before that, but I do know now on turn 6, if they have Sarah or they're playing bounce or some kind of kitty pride thing, I'm just like, shit. Maybe I should just back out and retreat. But yeah, that card is very good.
I think Hitmonkey opened up a whole new archetype that we didn't see before, and then that has just been added to with the buff to Medusa, with Kitty Pride, all these cards that just work well with bounce. So it was pretty big 2-drop. But also because that archetype opened up, it let other 2-drops shine that weren't getting their spotlight before.
Aaron?
Kitty. Hitmonkey and Kitty are the same deck to me. Like, I think that Bounce wanted a top end card that it could play on the last turn for a lot of power, and now it has 2, and having 2 means it's exceedingly consistent. Like, having Hitmonkey and Kitty as an option for those decks is incredible. Hitmonkey also, so Sarah, from what I've been told constantly, prior to global release, was not a tech deck. It was not a control deck. It was a last turn flood the board and just go bigger than the opponent deck. And there was no way to do that for a long time in the game because 2s were so weak. Hitmonkey fundamentally, almost single-handedly, changed that and said that you can, like, you still probably run Shang-Chi, but you don't really need to run anything else that's control-y in your Sarah decks. Your goal is to be behind last turn and then just drop like 5 things and take over the game.
What about Jeff the Baby Landshark? I think of all of these cards on here, this is my favorite and I think the best designed card. I think adding a utility 2-drop that can go in basically any deck and solve problems for players and answer playstyles that a lot of players find annoying. For example, Professor X or Sanctum Sanctorum or a Altar of Death that you can't get any cards in a normal deck. I think just the sheer utility of this card and the number of sort of problems that it solves in play patterns just makes it incredibly fun and incredibly refreshing of a card. It's cute too.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I could ever build a deck without it. Now it's kind of a staple in everything I play, especially now in this lockdown meta. It was pretty good too in the Sandman meta, but it's really good now.
Yeah, it's just, I think, the most solid 2-drop to kind of auto-include. Before it was Lizard. Lizard got nerfed, and now if you need to fill your 2 slot and you don't know what to put in there, Jeff is a great addition. So unless, I guess, your deck has some weird synergies where, like, Hitmonkey would be better, or whatever it is might be better in that deck, Jeff is just a new staple at 2.
He's the good stuff card. Like, he's just the good, like, he goes in lockdown decks, but he's the good stuff card more than any of the rest of this. All the rest of this stuff is hyper focused on certain things. Hyper is probably too strong a word for some of these, but focused on certain things. Whereas Jeff is just like, well, I can just throw this in a deck, not think about it, and it's occasionally going to win me a game or help me compete in a game that I couldn't otherwise. It's a really, really strong card.
All right. What about
So-
Star-Lord?
So I don't want to talk about Star-Lord the card. I want to talk about the Star-Lord, what was it, Season Pass, where you
Mhm.
had to win games with Star-Lord.
Yep.
How did we feel about that?
I
I'll-
was playing a control Guardians deck, so it didn't affect me at all. However, if it was for a card that I wasn't playing, I think I would have been very annoyed.
My solution was just not do it. I got to 50 on the track without having to do the Star-Lord thing. I was like, okay. I got my cool Jennifer Tells variant for Nebula, and I don't need to play the Star-Lord card. That's not fun for me. And
Yeah,
win games is the thing.
Yeah, I just waited till I got Infinite to do it. I wasn't gonna risk that. I was stuck in the 90s for like a day. I was like, I'm not risking this now. I'm not gonna, because I feel like because you have to win. So if it was just in your decks, that's one thing. But you have to win. It's like I can try this and maybe D rank because of this card taking up a slot, or I can just wait till I get Infinite. And then yeah, I feel like most players waited or they just said whatever and just went for it. But yeah, I don't like missions like that.
I thought it was cool. I liked it a lot. It's how I knew Medusa was going to be good. Because so I basically put it in the stats deck has that free slot, right? That like you can play whatever weird tech card you want. So I stuck it in that spot and it ended up working really well. And I was like, oh, 2/5 is really, really strong and really hard to deal with. So like I thought it was a good way of them taking a card that was like way more powerful than it seemed and saying, hey, this is good, you should try it.
I don't think that's their job. Stay away from telling me what to play.
Fair enough.
There we go. Well, how about Medusa, which does tell you where to play her? So what have we thought about this change? We talked about it a little bit at the beginning of the show, but does anybody have any additional thoughts that they want to offer about Medusa or maybe her role as a 2-drop?
I think she's pretty good now. It just depends on what the middle location is, because sometimes, I mean, I know it's all RNG, but there's going to be games where the middle location is something you don't want to play on, or let's say it's like Bar with No Name or Alter. Well, I guess Alter is fine. Well, if it's like a location you don't want, then she's kind of useless. But yeah, that's how I feel about it. It all depends on the middle location, in my opinion, for her.
She's great. One of the best 2-drops in the game right now. Like that, it's an on reveal is so strong. It means you can trigger it once if you can bounce her with Beast, with whatever else. It means if you're randomly running Odin she's suddenly really good in those decks. I've been telling people, like, I know a few people playing Wong Panther decks. Like, she's now your 2-drop in that deck, right? I think she's unlikely to be good in Galactus, where you would really like priority, but Lizard's fine there. I think that she fills a different role than Lizard, but her downside is still better than Lizard, right? And her upside is so easy to accomplish most of the time. And if you can take advantage of like doubling up her upside, like a 2/8 is silly. Like, I think Medusa is not like good. I think Medusa is great. This is one of the better buffs they've made in like the entire history of buffing cards in this game.
Well, folks, are you out there collecting wins with Collector? How about you, Yeti? Are you out there collecting wins with him?
I have yet to play a collector deck. It just doesn't look fun to me. So no, I did buy the collector bundle, so there's that. I just still haven't played the card, so I don't really have any opinion on him. He's very strong. He's annoying when he gets dropped. Yeah, I guess very deck specific, but yeah, no real opinion on him.
Yeah, same here. It's not really my play style. Yeah, just not my play style. He's a good card though when he gets big, but I see some players run him in discard sometimes, which is kind of weird. But it's a good tech. Not good tech, but I guess it's a good like card to put in there. But I don't know. I just don't like it.
He was in my infinite deck.
It's good that you mentioned discard, because to me he's felt like a Morbius, where like when he gets going, he's kind of like hard to beat, but he doesn't always get going. And it's like playing against him is figuring out like, is your opponent, is this a collector game where your opponent's going to pop off, or is this going to be like a collector that's at like 5, which is good, don't get me wrong, but not like end of the world good. So like just sort of like figuring out what the range of your opponent is sort of critical to playing against it. I haven't been super impressed by the collector, but again, that's at the lower ranks, so versus like the sort of high-end infinite stuff. But most collector decks I've run into have been firmly mid, that when they pop off, you're like, oh, yep, I lost this one. But no different than discard if they've got MODOK and played Morbius on 2.
So I think that's the wrong way to play a collector. I think he's a bounce card. Like Kitty and Hood are both +1 power, right? And like you're not playing Kitty once. Like, so Kitty alone is going to make him a 2/5. It's going to make him a top line stats for a 2-drop. And if you've got like Kitty and Angela and Collector out, or Bishop and Collector, that's an awful lot of stats you're getting for just doing something your deck is anyway. And once he's up to a 2/6, he's just officially the best like statted 2-drop, right? Like, I think that I don't think you're supposed to try and build around him. I think like if your deck is doing things that give him power anyway, he's more power than you'd otherwise get. Like, every card in your deck isn't meant to win you the game. Some cards are just meant to give you enough power to be able to win the game with your like power cards, right?
Velocity.
Sure. So I think that's what Collector's real secret power is. It's that like, crap, that stupid 2-drop that he just played is now a 7. And I have to deal with that 7 over there that he did nothing extra to make so strong. Like, except what the deck was doing anyway, right? Like, I tossed back my Kitty, Hood, and Bast, right? I'm literally looking at the deck. I pulled it up. I tossed back my Kitty, Hood, and Bast with a Falcon, right? Great, +3. Now it's a 2/5. And I've had Kitty in hand bouncing to 2/7, 2/8. Like, and it's just like, oh, come on, right? Like, I don't have to play in a specific lane. I don't have to do anything special. I don't even really have to pay attention to it. It's incidental power. And I think incidental power has a lot of value.
Completely fair. Well, there's nothing incidental about playing Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman. So how have we felt that this has impacted the meta? It has not let the Hella Dream become more consistent, sad to say. But what other observations about everybody's favorite first woman of the Marvel Universe? Okay. How about Ghost Spider, the card of the month?
Wait, I have thoughts. I didn't. I thought I was waiting for people. No one has thoughts on Invisible Woman?
I don't know.
She's great for dodging the Enchantress. That's kind of the only reason I expect someone to play her. But I don't really see it that much. I know she's a great card though, but I don't I don't really go against it much.
The Galactus change screws her up royally, like royally messes with her. But one of the best things you could do with her was if you figured out their Galactus lane, you just play her with a Shang behind her and giggle. And like, there's nothing previous Galactus could really do about it. The change to Galactus means you don't especially want that. But and then Bounce was nerfed, and like she's the largest reason I don't think Bounce really needed a nerf, because you could just throw Killmonger behind her, and then like screw priority. She's gonna take out 80% of that board at the end of the game. That 18 power kitty just doesn't matter anymore. Putting control pieces behind her is amazing. She's incredibly good at that, and she's incredibly good at losing priority. And for at least the last little bit, this has been a game where you wanted to lose priority. So no one outside of our little corner of the Discord is playing it, but like, it's a T1 deck in terms of win rate and cube rate. The Sarah Miracle that's running Invisible Woman as a way to like make sure you get your tech pieces off, and it's running Magic as a way to make sure that Wave doesn't just roll your face off, because it's not really running Miracle last turns. Invisible Woman is super key. Like, she basically says like, I can drop a Hit Monkey early and make sure I'm tempoed up. I can drop a Shang there. I can drop whatever. And like, there's so many different options the opponent can't play around it. And it's like, the cube rate on the deck is completely bonkers. I think Invisible Woman is like crazy strong, and I think it having 3 strength is surprisingly more powerful than it looks, because like, they're not sure how to add, and 2 for the breakpoint between 2 and 3 in power feels real high. Think about like the difference between when your opponent plays a 0 versus when they play an Iceman, right? Like, if Iceman hits nothing, that 0 feels so much bigger. I'm not sure why.
All right. How about Ghost Spider?
I haven't played her much, but seems like a lot of people are playing her. I think the only spot that I played her was in that Shuri Red Skull deck. Played it for a little bit on the day of release. She seems good. I mean, she's just good utility. I feel like 2-drops as a whole, before you would plug in like Sunspot in 1 and Lizard in 2, and then build your deck from there. And still now for 1s, you plug in Sunspot, Nebula, or whatever it is. And then at 2, you actually have a lot of choices to fill in what role you need. So it's not just a Jeff auto include. While he's very good in a lot of decks, you have things that'll shine a little bit better in your deck. I feel like Ghost Spider is just another example of one of those.
Yeah, I agree. I'm still trying to see what that card works best in, but I just love that card for like the utility it gives you, just for the fact that you're able to move cards to the right side now. Because before you can only go left, right? With Iron Fist and
Cloak.
Oh well, Cloak. Yeah, I forgot about him.
Doctor Strange.
Oh yeah, Doctor. Well, okay. Well, I don't play move that much, but it's nice to have another option to go right.
It's nice to have a good option. Is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, a good one. Yeah, because Cloak sometimes like
Screws you.
Yeah, your opponent can have a better turn where they move stuff around, and you're like, oh well, I just threw the game because of the Cloak. But yeah, I like Ghost Rider for that reason. So.
All right. Last but not least.
Wait.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I think Ghost Spider has 2 real homes. Home 1 for Ghost Spider is move, obviously, and home 2 is Shuri-based decks that want to go big and tall. And it's not necessarily about dodging Shang-Chi, although that is a nice benefit. It's about making your opponent think they're competing for power in one place and not another. Ghost Spider emphasizes what I think is really interesting about 2-drops and their design lately. Some 2-drops are early plays right now, like your Collector needs to come down early, your Invisible Woman needs to come down early, and some have become end of the game plays, and I think Ghost Spider is a really great way of looking at that, because you basically never want to play Ghost Rider before 3, and very often it's a turn 4 or 5 play. There's one more thing 2-drops are really, really important for in the game right now, but let's talk about Silk before we get there.
All right. Well, let's talk about everyone's favorite Dan Slott creation from his time in Spider-Man, Silk. What do we think of the new card that released 24 hours ago, basically, from the point of where we're recording this on Tuesday afternoon? What do we think of where she is? in the metagame. I think only Glazer owns her, right? Or did you two
Doug.
gentlemen buy?
Oh no, I got the card too.
Okay.
Yeah, I spent like so many hours just trying to like find what deck it fits best, and I still couldn't figure it out. I guess just Sarah feels good the most. I do like she kind of adds like a pressure to the opponent, because let's say it's a close game and then your opponent may not want to play a card in the same location because they don't want Silk to go somewhere else and give it +5. So I did play some games where it was like the opponent will just not play in that location to avoid that, and it will cost them a game, or later on that location would be the location they should have played in to win. But I do like the mind game she adds. I don't like the RNG part, but I do like how it can slide into like locations you normally couldn't get into. So I think it's a good card. It's just a lot of RNGs involved. But for 2-5, I guess I'll take the RNG, you know?
Yeah, I basically just tried her in my, I guess, lockdown deck. It's really fun when you Professor X a lane and you win it, and you play Silk in a lane that you're winning, and another big card in a lane that you're losing. And then if they play in the lane you're winning with a big drop, Silk comes on over and helps you out in the other lane. But outside of that, it's a lot of RNG, and it was more just fun than I think competitive. I think where she fits is the Sarah decks, where you vomit a lot of stuff on the board on turn 6, and you can place her where you need her to as a 1-cost 5 power.
She is so goddamn hard to play. I've been struggling playing her when my brain feels like it's firing, and it's been a day, so like we're not at a ton. She feels incredibly powerful. The more Storm is in the meta, the better she is. She is phenomenal, assuming she ever swings into that Storm lane. It's important to note that she matches Doom power in other locations you can't reach, like say a Spider-Man lane. She's really, really good in those situations. She also unlocks Miles. She's great with Miles, where like Miles is basically always a 1/5 as long as you've drawn her. She's overrated with Craven. I think Craven's like the worst of the move cards by a fair amount.
Yeah, that didn't work out for me. I listened to you in the last podcast.
I tried it. I tried it. I played it, and like that was the first thing I did. I was like, this Craven has been sitting here as a 2/4. What am I doing with my life? So like that's now just Polaris again. I've been playing that deck. It's one of the things I'm winning a lot with. But Silk has been great in it. Again, like on that last turn of the game, if Silk is on the board already, you have to do like triple math and double check your order over and over again to be like, if they play here, where does Silk end up? Because one location is like very often filled, right? So like you're trying to get it to bounce back and forth right between the two locations. It's much easier when you're playing her late than when you're playing her early. But when you're playing her early, you have such great tempo advantage. I'm very curious how she works with Galactus. Does she move before or after he triggers? Do we know that yet?
Oh, that's a great question. I think she will move first, because the card is. I believe they stay face down and then Silk moves and then they get revealed. Now I don't know.
No, it's when they reveal. It's definitely when they reveal.
I did see something about the Venom doesn't hit her. So
really?
I would imagine it moves out of the way of Galactus. But I'm not 100% sure. And yeah.
Because it's a really, really, really great way to win initiative, right? Like that 2/5 that's bouncing all over the place, like it's very likely to get you some initiative, which makes it a problem in some other decks. But like, excuse me, I've actually been really impressed. I think it's way more competitive than I think we're giving it credit for, but I also think it's like super duper hard to use. And I think it's going to take a while before like we get all the baseline moves down. Part of what makes me think it's so strong is that Dara took one look at it, played it for a night, and was like, well, this is the best 2-drop in the game. And like if you've ever seen him have a conversation, like hyper analytical, where like he does make those extra like moves and plans for each thing he does, and like he's like, oh well, if I just think of it this way, it's crazy strong, which means it's probably actually just crazy strong. There's locations that make it terrible. It's probably a better 2-drop played on 3 than on 2, but it's still really good. Like, it's like fantastic after a Zabu, in my opinion. Assuming it's not Rock Slide, which is the best card you could play in the game after a Zabu. Oh, the thing. Roy, do you have any Silk thoughts? I'm sorry.
No, I didn't buy the card, and I haven't played against it. I haven't encountered it yet.
So the power of 2-drops right now, for me, or like one of the major powers, is that 3 + 2 = 5, and wave costs 3. So a lot of what you're doing with a lot of these cards is trying to figure out a way to play wave, and a really big thing that gets you a lot of power with wave, so that you can do the get ahead, stay ahead game plan with wave. And Silk is absolutely excellent for that. So is Ghost Spider. I think that's like actually where Move lives right now as a deck. It's in like, my last drop was, I don't know, Dagger or Vulture, and then my play is Wave and Ghost Spider, or my play is I've got Craven on the board, and now my play is Wave and Ghost Spider, right? Or sorry, Wave and Silk. I think that is the real power of 2s right now. That Wave is like at worst a top 3 card in the game, and having a 2 that does something with Wave is extraordinarily powerful.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. That brings us into the closing moments of our episode. So, as we move into sort of finalizing this one, saying goodbye, putting it in the can, Doug, I want to give you one more opportunity to sort of sell yourself to our loyal listeners. Where can they find you, and why should they tune into you on Twitch or follow you on Twitter?
All right. So my Twitter is DougPie TTV, and my Twitch is just DougPie. I guess you guys could follow me because I'm super community based. I love talking to people about card games. I come from a long background of playing Yu-Gi-Oh. So I mean, I guess that's random, but yeah, I don't know what to say. I'm yeah.
I got a better sales pitch than that.
Uh,
So you follow Doug not just because he's community based, but because you're going to get a good conversation every time. He's going to see your reply. He's going to make sure he talks to you. Like, I've seen him do this where he's just like, all right, cool, let's talk about that. All right, cool, let's talk about that with everything. You're going to get a good conversation. It's going to be really insightful. You're going to get better at the game, and you're going to enjoy yourself. Plus, he rages when he tilts, and it's so fun.
that is true. The tilting part. I tilt less now because I got a lot better, but I definitely still tilt, and I'm glad people are laughing at it instead of teasing me for it, I suppose.
I mean, you don't seem like I'm not trying to be a jerk. You don't seem like you're like, I hate the game and everyone should burn, right? You're just like, this is dumb. Like, you know what I mean?
No, I just
It's good. It's good humor.
It's just a 50-50. I'm like, really? They played on left? They didn't play here? It's just, yeah, that's, yeah.
I'm trying to click. Sorry.
All right, Savage Yeti. Where can our loyal listeners find you one more time? And sell us, why should they listen to you, and what can they find on your YouTube channel and Twitter?
So, Savage Yeti YT on Twitter, Savage Yeti Gaming - Marvel Snap on YouTube. I do all types of Marvel Snap content. I'm trying to do more than just bundle breakdowns, and I know everyone comes to me for the bundle breakdowns, but I want to expand a little further out of that. However, if you want to get the most bang for your buck out of your gold in Marvel Snap, get the most bang for your buck out of your actual money in Marvel Snap, and you want to progress and get Series 4 cards, Series 5 cards faster, I break down every major bundle coming to the game the night it comes out. and I break down all the bundles coming up in the month coming ahead and tell you which bundles I think you should hold off for, what order you should buy them in, and yeah, just kind of Marvel Snap economics at the moment. Also, I might start doing some DC Dual Force stuff depending on how the beta goes this weekend. So if you're interested in that, check out my channel.
Can I sell him now?
Yes,
Yeah.
you should.
All right, he's so good at explaining math, I actually understood it. I'm an English teacher. I'm not supposed to understand math. He did a video explaining how the different money breaks down. I can't explain it because you did a great job, but I'm not going to even pretend that like I'm capable. But like, I actually at the end of the video was like, shit, I learned something. It was really cool. I like learning things. It's really good to learn things. I'm gonna actually harass him into doing the poker thing with Conquest because it was so cool when he used to do that for ladder stuff. And learning about the game makes you not only a better card gamer but a smarter person. And like that seems really good to me.
That was a better sale than I did. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm good at this.
Glazer's very good at that. He's did a great job
like
playing
my
Doug
people.
and Yeti on me. And I'm more excited to enjoy your all's content more than ever. So let's jump into our final segment, the variant of the week. In honor of her buff, we have Dazzler. Which variants do you, gentle folks, like the most? What is your variant of the week?
Geez, they're all pretty good. Well, I mean, the base one is just like base. It's like basic because I'm just so used to it. But I never saw the last two. The one on, I guess she's holding like a microphone and a boombox. I think I like the boombox one the most because I like lights going on, and yeah, I think I like the boombox one.
I'm double checking who made it. The boombox one is Marco Fiala. Marco Fiala with Ryan Kinnaird.
Okay,
So yeah,
that's a great variant.
Yeah, it is really nice. Not my favorite, but it is really nice.
How about you, Yeti?
I don't know if I'm a big fan of any of them. I guess the boombox one's pretty good, and then the one on the right's pretty cool. I assume that's Art Germ. I'm
It
not
is.
sure though. Yeah, it looks like his stuff. So I guess I'll probably pick that one, but it's Dazzler, so who cares?
Glazer?
I'm all about that second one, the one that like I don't really like pop disco nonsense. So Elizabeth Torque, not sure how to pronounce it. Both artist and colorist for the one that looks sort of like punky. I'm all about that one. If I had that one, I'd actually put her in Surfer just to play it.
Yeah, I agree with Glazer. I think that the best of the like traditional superhero outfit one is the Dan Hip.
There's one I didn't put on there. Oh well.
Oh, c'est la vie.
Yeah.
But I do like the sort of like contemporary punk rock or indie Dazzler. Like she's a character who's had some cool redesigns over the course of her career with Marvel, and I think that era of Dazzler was really cool. And so I'm all about that, or the Dan Hip one. But so I guess I'll pick the Dan Hip one since Glazer already picked the sort of indie girl punk rock one. But that brings us to the end of this episode. First and foremost, make sure that you go on and follow Savage Yeti and DougPie, but also make sure that you check us out on social media. Make sure that you go out there and see Aaron being a reply guy to all your favorite Marvel Snap content creators with @SnapJudgeCast on our Twitter account. We're on TikTok @SnapJudgeCast. Please join us on the Marvel Snap Zone Discord. We are so proud to be the official podcasting partner of Marvel Snap Zone. And please come join, have great discussions. We have a great community, both a sub-community within that Discord, and it's an awesome, broader community. You can email us at snapjudgmentspod@gmail.com. You can find us on Mastodon, Snap Judgments with an E at tabletop.vip. And most importantly, there is the YouTube, which is at Snap Judgments Pod. And now, after that long list of socials, I can have the great pleasure, but also bittersweet feeling to say goodbye to our guests. DougPie, Doug, thank you so much for joining us for the first time. We really appreciate it. It was great having you on the episode.
No, thank you guys for having me. This is my first time ever talking on a podcast thing related to gaming, and I had a blast. So was a bit nervous, but you guys were great.
Awesome. We really enjoyed having you on, and hope you're able to join us again soon. Same is also true for now our most frequent guest host, Savage Yeti, dethroner. He gave Bootman the boot from the top of the pyramid of our guests. Savage Yeti, it was a real pleasure, as always, to have you on.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun. I don't think I said it earlier, but congrats to you guys on the Marvel Snap Zone partnership. It's big. Glazer, I'm reading all of your articles and stuff, so congrats with that. And thanks again for having me. I want to stay on top, so I'm going to do one more episode with you guys, and then you can have Bootman on again.
There we go. Sounds like a plan. And then, as always, Aaron, my friend, thank you so much for joining me this week.
Peace and love, my friends.
Yep. And I am glad that I get to live in a world where we all do this podcast. So, loyal listeners, please stay safe, make good choices, and keep on snapping.